Nestled in the exclusive hills of Beverly Hills, where the air carried the scent of eucalyptus and ocean breeze, Alexander Harrington's estate rose like a palace from a fairy tale. The mansion, designed in the elegant Spanish Revival style, featured terracotta-tiled roofs that glowed under the relentless California sun, arched windows adorned with wrought iron grills, and a grand courtyard where fountains bubbled softly amid vibrant bougainvillea vines climbing the walls in bursts of pink and magenta. Palm trees swayed gently, casting long shadows over the expansive lawns that were meticulously trimmed by Juan, the dedicated gardener who had been with the family for over a decade. The property spanned 6 acres, complete with a sparkling infinity pool that seemed to merge with the distant Pacific Ocean, a private tennis court, and a guest house that could rival many people's primary residences. Inside, the home was a blend of old-world charm and modern luxury. High-beamed ceilings, marble floors imported from Italy, and art pieces from renowned galleries adorning the walls. This was the home of a man who had conquered the tech world. But, as with many such empires, the foundations were built on sand, vulnerable to the slightest tremor. Alexander Harrington, at the age of 45, was a towering figure of success, standing 6 feet 2 inches tall, with broad shoulders honed from years of early morning gym sessions, and a head of salt and pepper hair that added an air of distinguished wisdom. His sharp blue eyes missed nothing in boardrooms, and his firm handshake had sealed deals worth billions. Born in a small Rust Belt town in Ohio, Alex's childhood was marked by hardship. His father, a factory worker, lost his job during the recession of the 1980s, forcing the family to scrape by on his mother's part-time nursing salary. Meals were simple, often consisting of canned soup and day-old bread, and holidays were spent at home rather than on vacations. Young Alex found escape in the local library's outdated computers, teaching himself basic programming on a clunky Apple II that the librarian let him use after hours. At 19, he dropped out of community college to launch his first startup, a simple antivirus tool that caught the eye of Silicon Valley investors. Sold for $35 million, it funded Harrington Innovations, a cybersecurity giant that now protected Fortune 500 companies from cyber threats with cutting-edge AI algorithms capable of predicting breaches before they occurred. Alex's net worth hovered around $1.5 billion, earning him spots on Forbes lists, invitations to Davos, and a reputation as a visionary who could predict digital dangers before they materialized. He was often quoted in tech magazines as saying, "In a world of data, security is the new currency." His marriage to Victoria Thompson was the polished gem in his crown of achievements. Victoria, 42, was a vision of refined beauty, slim and statuesque at 5 feet 10 inches, with flawless porcelain skin, long blonde hair that fell in perfect waves, and green eyes that could charm or chill with a glance. Born to a middle-class family in Connecticut, her father a high school teacher who instilled a love of literature, her mother a librarian who encouraged her to read classics like Jane Austen, she had reinvented herself in New York as a model, gracing the covers of Vogue and walking runways for Chanel and Dior. But modeling was fleeting. By 30, she transitioned to socialite status, leveraging her looks and connections to build a brand around luxury lifestyle, including collaborations with high-end brands for sponsored posts. They met at a black-tied charity gala in 2014, where Alex was the keynote speaker on digital privacy. Victoria's laughter at his jokes and her insightful questions about his work sparked an instant connection. Their courtship was whirlwind, romantic getaways to the Amalfi Coast, where they sipped wine overlooking the sea, proposals under the Eiffel Tower at dusk with a string quartet playing in the background, the wedding in in 2015 was legendary. 600 guests, a performance by a pop star friend, and a custom gown by Vera Wang that cost more than most houses. Yet 10 years later, the union had cooled. Alex's relentless work schedule, conference calls at dawn with teams in Tokyo, red-eye flights to Asia for investor meetings, left Victoria feeling like a beautiful accessory rather than a partner. She filled her days with hot yoga classes at exclusive studios, luncheons with fellow influencers at the Ivy, where they discussed the latest trends in wellness and fashion, and meticulously curated her Instagram feed, which boasted 350,000 followers admiring her perfect life of designer outfits, spa days, and philanthropic events that often involved photo ops more than genuine involvement. The mansion's daily operations relied on a loyal staff, each with their own stories woven into the fabric of the household. Juan, the 50-year-old gardener from Guatemala, had a green thumb that turned the estate into a botanical paradise, planting exotic flowers that bloomed year-round and creating topiaries that delighted guests. Elena, the 48-year-old cook from Peru, infused meals with flavors from her homeland. Her empanadas, a family favorite that Alex often requested after long days. Thomas, the 55-year-old chauffeur from England, drove with precision and shared stories of his days as a London cabbie, his accent adding a touch of sophistication to errands. But the true anchor was Maria Gonzalez, a 35-year-old maid who had immigrated from Mexico City 13 years ago. Maria's life was a testament to endurance. Widowed at 22 when her husband, Javier, a hard-working man of Mexican and African-American heritage, was deported back to Mexico and tragically killed in a construction site collapse due to poor safety standards. Left with a newborn daughter, Sofia, Maria crossed the border with little more than hope, a sewing kit from her mother, and a determination to provide a better life. She worked odd jobs, cleaning hotels in the dead of night, waitressing during the day, until landing the position with the Harringtons 8 years ago through a referral from a friend. Maria's warm olive-toned skin, dark, expressive eyes, and quiet strength made her indispensable. She rose at 5 a.m. to polish silverware, launder linens with care, and ensure every corner of the 10,000-square-foot home sparkled, often humming traditional Mexican folk songs to herself. Sofia, now 10 years old, was the light of Maria's life and a blend of her parents' heritages. Deep brown skin that glowed under the sun, tight black curls that bounced with her energy, and wide, curious brown eyes that sparkled like stars in the night sky. She was a bright child, excelling in school with straight A's in math and science, dreaming of becoming an astronaut or a coder like Uncle Alex. Sofia spent afternoons in the kitchen helping her mother fold laundry or in the garden playing with a ball, her laughter echoing through the halls like a melody of joy. Alex cherished her, filling the childless void in his marriage. Victoria had always insisted on no kids. "I can't imagine ruining my figure or my freedom," she'd say, with a laugh that didn't reach her eyes. But Alex suspected it was deeper, perhaps a fear of vulnerability from her own unstable childhood, marked by her parents' divorce. Instead, he mentored Sofia, teaching her chess strategies on weekends over hot chocolate, explaining binary code over ice cream sundaes, and secretly funding her after-school robotics club, where she built simple robots that impressed her teachers. "You're a star, Sofia," he'd say, his voice warm with paternal affection, often slipping her books on space exploration or tech pioneers. Victoria's attitude toward Sofia was a stark contrast. She saw the girl as an unwelcome presence, a reminder that the help had lives beyond service. Her comments were laced with condescension. "Maria, make sure Sofia stays out of the formal dining room. She's always leaving crumbs on the antique rug." In private moments with Alex, she'd complain, "Why do we allow that child to roam free? She's not part of our world, and her energy disrupts my zen." Alex chalked it up to Victoria's high-strung nature, exacerbated by her own insecurities, failed attempts at launching a beauty line that flopped due to poor reviews, the pressure to maintain her social status in a circle where youth and perfection were currency. But underlying it was a subtle racism, absorbed from elite circles where diversity was token at best, discussed in hushed tones over champagne. Victoria's world was of appearances, where everything had its place, and Sophia, with her vibrant energy and darker skin, disrupted that order like a splash of color on a monochromatic canvas. The household's rhythm was as predictable as the tides. Alex departed at dawn for his glass-towered office in Silicon Beach, armed with a coffee and laptop. Victoria scheduled her day around beauty appointments, charity meetings that boosted her image, and social media shoots. Maria orchestrated the domestic symphony with quiet efficiency, and Sophia returned from school to homework and play, her backpack heavy with books and dreams. But on that fateful Tuesday in late May 2025, with the jacarandas in full purple bloom and the air thick with jasmine from the garden, the harmony shattered irrevocably, exposing the cracks that had been widening for years. The board meeting at Harrington Innovation's state-of-the-art headquarters, a sleek building of glass and steel in downtown Los Angeles, was expected to be a marathon session lasting well into the evening. Investors from Berlin, Shanghai, and New York joined via high-definition holograms, their faces projected in lifelike detail around the table, debating the rollout of a revolutionary quantum-encrypted firewall that could render hacking obsolete. Alex, dressed in his signature gray suit, white shirt, and blue tie matching his eyes, led the discussion with his usual charisma, fielding questions on scalability, cost projections, and market penetration with data-backed responses. But at 1:45 p.m., a critical server glitch caused by a beta test from a competitor's software that infiltrated their system halted the presentation. Screens flickered with error messages, data froze in mid-chart, and the meeting adjourned early. "We'll reconvene tomorrow morning," Alex announced, hiding his frustration behind a professional smile, though inside he cursed the irony of a cybersecurity firm falling victim to a glitch. Seeing an opportunity in the unexpected free time, he decided to surprise Victoria. Their marriage had been strained lately, with arguments over his absences and her extravagant spending on things like a $50,000 handbag collection. Perhaps an early return with flowers could mend the rift, remind them of the passion that once burned brightly in their relationship. Leaving the office, Alex navigated the bustling streets of LA in his Tesla Model S Plaid, the car's autonomous mode allowing him to reflect on his life. He thought of their early days, stolen kisses in Paris cafes, lazy Sundays in bed discussing dreams of world travel and philanthropy. What had changed? Work, he supposed. His company demanded everything, from late-night coding sessions to global travel. Stopping at Fleur's Boutique on Rodeo Drive, a quaint shop known for its exotic blooms and celebrity clientele, he selected a bouquet of 24 crimson roses, their petals soft as velvet and scent intoxicating, evoking memories of their honeymoon. "For a special lady," the florist said with a wink, wrapping them in elegant paper. Alex smiled, hoping it would spark joy in Victoria's eyes and lead to a romantic evening. As he drove up the winding roads to Beverly Hills, the sun glinting off luxury cars and mansions with their gated entrances, he felt a rare optimism, the kind that came from small acts of love. The gates to his estate opened automatically, recognizing the car's license plate through advanced AI cameras, and he parked in the three-car garage beside Victoria's gleaming Porsche Cayenne SUV, its pearl-white finish spotless as always. Clutching the roses, he entered through the side door leading to the kitchen, intending to sneak up and embrace her from behind, perhaps whispering sweet nothings in her ear. The house was unusually quiet, the only sound the distant hum of the pool filter and the tick of a grandfather clock in the hallway. But as he approached the kitchen, voices pierced the silence, harsh, angry tones that made his stomach knot with unease. Creeping closer, Alex peered through the slightly ajar door, his heart pounding like a drum in his chest. The kitchen, with its granite countertops veined in gold, sub-zero appliances humming softly, and pendant lights casting warm glows over the island, was the scene of horror. Victoria stood over Sophia, her face contorted in fury, her Lululemon yoga outfit rumpled from what looked like a recent class. Sophia lay on the cold marble floor, curled in a protective ball, clutching her side with small hands, tears streaming down her cheeks and soaking her school uniform, a white polo and khaki skirt. Shards of a broken crystal glass scattered like diamonds across the floor, orange juice spreading in a sticky puddle that reflected the overhead lights. Maria was absent. She had mentioned a quick trip to the organic market for Elena's fresh ingredients for dinner, leaving Sophia to wait in the kitchen with a snack after school. "You clumsy, worthless little girl," Victoria snarled, her voice low but laced with venom, her green eyes flashing with rage like emeralds in fire. "Those glasses are antique Venetian crystal, imported from Italy at great expense. They cost more than your mother makes in a year, and you just destroy them like it's nothing. Do you have any idea how hard I work to maintain this home?" Sophia's voice was a whisper, broken by sobs that racked her small body. "I'm so sorry, Mrs. Harrington. I was just getting a drink. The glass slipped from my hand because it was wet. It was an accident, I promise. I'll clean it up." "Accident? That's all you ever say. You're always causing problems, you dirty little intruder in my home. You don't belong here." Victoria's foot, clad in expensive Nike sneakers, lashed out suddenly, connecting with Sophia's ribs. The girl cried out in pain, a sharp yelp that echoed off the walls, her body jerking as she tried to shield herself with her arms. Alex's blood ran cold, his mind reeling in disbelief. This wasn't a momentary loss of control. Victoria's posture, the way she positioned her kick with precision, suggested this was not the first time. How many accidents had Sophia endured in silence? How had he missed the signs, the occasional wince, the averted eyes? The roses slipped from Alex's grasp, petals scattering on the threshold like confetti from a nightmare, some landing in the juice puddle. He burst through the door, his voice thundering with a mix of shock and anger. "Victoria, what in God's name are you doing? Stop this immediately!" Victoria whirled around, her face draining of color, eyes wide with shock as if caught in a spotlight. "Alex? You're home early. This isn't what it looks like. She fell." He ignored her stammering, rushing to Sophia's side, kneeling on the floor despite his expensive suit, the juice soaking his knees. Gently, he helped her sit up, his large hands careful on her small frame, brushing away tears with his thumb. "Sweetie, are you all right? Let me see where it hurts. Breathe for me, okay? In and out, just like we do in chess when thinking of the next move." Sophia nodded through her tears, wincing as she pointed to her side, her curls matted with sweat. Alex lifted her shirt slightly, seeing a red mark already forming into a bruise, the skin tender to the touch. No broken bones, he hoped, but the pain in her eyes was unbearable, a mix of physical hurt and emotional betrayal. Turning to Victoria, his voice was a controlled storm, low and dangerous. "You kicked a child, a 10-year-old girl who looks up to you. Explain yourself right now, or so help me, this ends today." Victoria stammered, backing against the counter, her hands trembling as she gestured wildly. She spilled the juice everywhere, broke the glass. It's irreplaceable. I lost my temper for a second. She's fine, Alex. Kids are resilient. They bounce back." "You lost your temper? This is abuse." Alex's mind raced through flashbacks, Sophia's occasional limps dismissed as play injuries from school, her quiet demeanor around Victoria, avoiding eye contact. Had he been blind to the dynamics in his own home? Why hadn't Maria said anything? Fear of deportation? Of losing their stability in a country that was still foreign? Victoria's expression shifted from shock to defiance, her voice rising in pitch. "She's not our child, Alex. She's the maid's daughter, a black kid who's always underfoot, touching things she has no business touching. I didn't mean to kick her hard. It was just a nudge to get her to move away from the mess." The racial slur hung in the air like poison gas, igniting Alex's fury further. He'd heard Victoria's casual prejudices before, comments about ghetto neighborhoods at dinner parties, snide remarks about diversity hires in his company. But this was overt, hateful, stripped bare. "Pack your bags." he said, his tone final, rising to his feet with a presence that filled the room. "You're leaving this house tonight. Our marriage is over. I won't live with someone who harms innocent children." Victoria's mouth gaped open, her laughter hysterical and disbelieving. "You're serious? Over her? After all these years? All the sacrifices I've made for your career? Hosting events? Networking for you? You're choosing that girl over me?" "Yes," Alex replied, his voice unwavering, though his heart ached at the end of what once was love, "because this reveals the monster you've become, or perhaps always were. Get out." As Victoria stormed upstairs, slamming doors and cursing under her breath, calling him a fool, Alex comforted Sophia, wrapping her in a blanket from the nearby couch and holding her close as she sobbed. He called Maria, explaining in rushed words what he had witnessed, then dialed 911 for the police and an ambulance to check Sophia. Maria arrived minutes later, her face ashen as she dropped her grocery bags in the foyer, rushing to her daughter's side. "Mi hija, what happened? Oh God, Sophia, Mama is here." Alex recounted the scene, watching Maria's horror turn to tears of guilt and relief. "I suspected something, small bruises, but Sophia said she fell playing. I was terrified of confronting her, Mr. Harrington. We have nowhere else to go if we lose this job." The paramedics arrived first, their sirens a brief wail in the quiet neighborhood, checking Sophia's vitals and confirming minor bruising, recommending a hospital visit for x-rays to rule out cracks. Then the police. 2 officers, one male with a notepad, one female with a compassionate demeanor, took statements in the living room, surrounded by luxury furniture that now felt cold. Sophia, clutching a stuffed bear Alex fetched from her room, described the kick in a small voice, her words halting but honest. Victoria, now dressed in casual clothes and composed, denied it vehemently from the doorway. "She tripped over her own feet. Alex is exaggerating because he's tired from work and stressed." The officers noted the inconsistencies, photographed the bruise with a camera flash that lit the room, and advised Alex to file a formal report at the station. As they left, promising to investigate further, Alex sat with Maria and Sophia, his mind already plotting the next steps: lawyers for divorce and security-like protection, security to keep Victoria away, and justice for the child who had stolen his heart. That night, as Sophia slept in the guest room, under Maria's watchful eye after pain medication, Alex paced his study, staring at wedding photos that now seemed like lies from another life. The perfect life had been an illusion, and from its ruins, he would forge something real, something that mattered beyond money and status. The following morning dawned with a clarity Alex hadn't felt in years. The sun rising over the hills in a blaze of orange and pink. Victoria had packed an overnight bag and fled to her sister's luxurious condo in Malibu, but not before sending a barrage of texts. "You'll regret this, Alex. That girl is nothing but a liar, and you'll see when the truth comes out." He blocked her number, focusing on Sophia's well-being. Taking the day off, a rarity for the workaholic CEO, he drove Maria and Sophia to Cedars-Sinai Medical Center for a full checkup. The hospital, with its bustling corridors and beeping machines, felt like a sanctuary. Dr. Elena Patel, a compassionate pediatrician with years of experience in child trauma, examined Sophia thoroughly, listening to her lungs and pressing gently on her ribs. "Physically, it's just bruising, no fractures or internal damage," she said, her voice soft and reassuring. "But emotionally, this could leave lasting scars. I recommend therapy to process the fear and betrayal, perhaps weekly sessions to build resilience." Alex nodded, arranging immediate sessions with Dr. Lynn Gwynn, a specialist in child psychology, who used art therapy and play to help kids open up about difficult experiences. Back home, he moved Maria and Sophia to the guest house for safety, equipping it with new locks, security cameras linked to his phone, and comfortable furnishings. "You're family now," he told Maria over coffee in the kitchen. "No more maid's quarters. Stay as long as you need." Maria protested, her eyes filling with tears. "Mr. Harrington, you've already done so much." Alex insisted, increasing her salary and promising legal help for her citizenship application, contacting an immigration lawyer friend to expedite the process. By afternoon, the media storm broke with the force of a hurricane. A leaked police report perhaps from a tipster at the station or a nosy neighbor, hit TMZ's front page. Tech billionaire's wife accused of assaulting Maid's young daughter. Shocking details emerge. The story spread like wildfire across X, Instagram, and news outlets like CNN and Fox News. Hashtag Harrington Scandal trended globally, with users dividing into camps. Some defended Victoria. Probably a misunderstanding. Rich people drama. Kids are clumsy. Others raged. Kicking a child? She's a racist monster. Props to Alex for standing up against abuse. A viral thread on Reddit dissected the incident, with users sharing similar stories of domestic worker mistreatment. Victoria responded swiftly, hiring a top-tier crisis management firm led by a shark-like PR executive known for salvaging reputations. She appeared on a popular morning show, dabbing at her eyes with a tissue, her makeup flawless despite the tears. It's all a terrible mistake. Sophia tripped, and Alex, exhausted from work, missaw the situation. He's always been too attached to that girl, neglecting our marriage in favor of his pet project. She implied impropriety in Alex's relationship with Sophia, a low blow that twisted his paternal care into something sinister and scandalous. The interview went viral, with commentators debating her tears' authenticity on panels, some calling it Oscar-worthy acting. Alex, advised by his PR team to stay silent, couldn't let the lies stand. He issued a statement through his company. "The allegations are serious, and I stand by what I witnessed. Child abuse has no place in any home, and I will cooperate fully with authorities." Privately, he hired Marcus Reed, a former FBI agent turned private investigator, to dig into Victoria's past. Reed, a burly man with a no-nonsense demeanor and a scar from his field days, delivered a report in 10 days. Multiple incidents. A former nanny from 2017 claimed Victoria slapped her for talking back about overtime. Event planners recalled racial slurs at parties like, "I don't want black servers at my events. They make guests uncomfortable." A neighbor reported seeing Victoria yell at Sophia for trespassing in the garden, threatening to call immigration on Maria if she didn't control her child. The pattern was undeniable. Victoria's facade hid a deep-seated bigotry and temper, perhaps rooted in her own upbringing or societal pressures. Armed with this, Alex's legal team, headed by Rachel Cohen, a fierce divorce attorney known for high-profile cases involving celebrities, filed papers citing abuse, emotional cruelty, and infidelity. Reed uncovered texts suggesting an affair with a personal trainer at her gym. Victoria countered with demands for $500 million, alleging mental cruelty and public defamation, claiming Alex's actions had ruined her social standing. The battle lines were drawn, with friends choosing sides. Alex's college buddies and tech colleagues rallied, sending support messages and offering resources like additional security. Victoria's socialite circle hosted solidarity events at exclusive clubs like Soho House, whispering about Alex's midlife crisis over martinis. Amid the chaos, Alex bonded with Sophia and Maria. He transformed the guest house into a cozy home, adding a playroom with educational toys, a telescope for Sophia's astronomy interest, and a computer for coding lessons. Evenings were filled with family activities, cooking Mexican dishes with Maria, who shared recipes from her abuela, like mole sauce simmered for hours, reading bedtime stories to Sophia, her head on his shoulder as he voiced characters from Harry Potter. In therapy, Sophia opened up gradually. "Mrs. Harrington called me names, said I didn't belong because of my skin color. She pushed me before, but I didn't tell because I love living here and didn't want to cause trouble." Alex's heart ached, vowing to adopt her if Maria agreed, a way to provide permanence and legal protection. Maria, in turn, confided her fears over late-night talks. "Javier is my everything. He worked so hard, sending money from Mexico, but the system failed him with that deportation. I came here for Sophia's future, crossing the desert with her in my arms." Alex listened, sharing his own story of poverty, bonding over resilience and the immigrant dream. As weeks passed, the scandal intensified. Victoria filed a defamation suit, but Reed's evidence weakened her case, with judges denying motions. Alex, reflecting on his wealth's purpose during sleepless nights, began formulating a plan that would shock the world beyond the tabloids, turning personal pain into public good. By midsummer, the scandal had become a cultural touchstone, dissected on podcasts, talk shows, and opinion pieces in the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal. Victoria's assault charge moved forward, with prosecutors adding hate crime enhancements based on Reid's findings and witness testimonies. Witnesses came forward in droves. A former employee described Victoria's tirades over minor issues like a misplaced vase. A caterer recounted being called racial epithets during a holiday party, leading to her quitting on the spot. Public sentiment turned against her decisively. Sponsors dropped her endorsements for beauty products. Her Instagram followers plummeted by the hundreds of thousands, and invitations to galas dried up. Victoria, once the queen of social media, became a pariah. Her posts met with hateful comments and boycotts. Alex, in his boardroom overlooking the city skyline with its skyscrapers piercing the clouds, convened his executive team for a pivotal meeting. The room, with its long mahogany table and ergonomic chairs, buzzed with tension. "I'm divesting $600 million. Personal stocks in tech giants, real estate holdings, including the Bordeaux Vineyard and New York Penthouse, even my art collection of Picassos, to launch a foundation." Priya Sharma, his CFO, a sharp-minded woman in her 40s, gasped. "Alex, the market will react badly. Think of the shareholders. They'll see it as instability." He smiled, leaning back. "They'll understand when they hear the why. This is about legacy, not quarterly earnings. Prepare the papers." Planning the foundation took weeks of late nights, collaborating with experts in philanthropy. The Harrington Foundation would focus on 3 pillars: child abuse prevention through education and hotlines, racial justice via anti-bias training and legal support, and immigrant aid with scholarships and citizenship programs. Alex envisioned grants for nonprofits, awareness campaigns with celebrities, and partnerships with organizations like the ACLU and UNICEF. The press conference was held in the company's grand atrium, with floor-to-ceiling windows framing the bustling metropolis below. Reporters from major networks packed the room, cameras rolling, microphones poised as Alex took the podium, Maria and Sophia on his side, dressed in simple yet elegant outfits. Sophia held his hand tightly, nervous but excited. "Good afternoon. Thank you for coming," Alex began, his voice steady and resonant through the speakers. "Today, I speak not as a CEO of Harrington Innovations, but as a man who witnessed injustice in his own home and chose to act rather than look away." He detailed the incident with measured emotion, describing the kick, Sophia's cries, and Victoria's words, presenting redacted medical reports and key excerpts from Reid's findings without violating privacy. The audience murmured, some gasping at the racism revealed. Victoria's actions weren't isolated. They reflect a pattern of prejudice and abuse that too many endure in silence. But instead of dwelling on the past, I'm looking forward to change. The revelation dropped like a bomb. I'm donating $600 million to the Harrington Foundation, dedicated to combating child abuse, racial discrimination, and supporting immigrant communities. We'll fund scholarships for underprivileged youth like Sophia, build safe houses for abuse victims equipped with counseling and legal aid, provide pro bono immigration services for families like Maria's, and run nationwide awareness campaigns to eradicate bias through schools and workplaces. This is my apology to Sophia, to Maria, to every child failed by silence, and every family torn by hate. Questions flew from the press like arrows. "Is this revenge against your wife?" Alex replied calmly. "No, it's redemption for all of us. Revenge destroys. This builds." How will the foundation operate? With transparency, annual reports, independent audits, and community input. Then the ultimate shock. To underscore my commitment, with Maria's full blessing, I'm adopting Sophia as my legal daughter. She deserves a father who protects and cherishes her, not just in words, but in actions. The room erupted in applause, flashes blinding as photographers captured the moment. Sophia hugged him tightly, whispering, "Thank "Thank you, Dad." Her voice choked with emotion. Maria wiped tears, proud and overwhelmed, later telling reporters, "Mr. Harrington, Alex has given us more than a home. He's given us hope." The conference ended with Alex answering more questions, outlining specific initiatives like a $100 million endowment for scholarships and partnerships with tech companies for anti-bias AI tools. Headlines exploded across the globe. Billionaire shocks world, adopts Maid daughter, donates massive fortune to social causes. The stock price of Harrington Innovations dipped 18% initially as investors panicked, but rebounded within days as praise poured in from influencers, celebrities, and world leaders. Elon Musk tweeted, "Respect, Alex. Doing what's right over what's easy." Oprah Winfrey offered an exclusive interview, calling it a masterclass in using privilege for good. Bill Gates emailed personally, proposing a collaboration on education tech. Donations surged from the public, swelling the foundation to $1 billion within a month, with everyday people contributing what they could. Victoria's legal battles faltered amid the backlash. She pled guilty to reduced charges of misdemeanor assault, sentenced to probation, 300 hours of community service at a children's shelter, and mandatory sensitivity training. Her reputation in ruins, she retreated from public life, selling her story to a tabloid for a fraction of what she once commanded. But even that was met with scorn. The announcement rippled through Alex's life. Board members applauded his vision, employees volunteered for foundation projects, and strangers sent letters of support. But it also brought challenges. Threats from anonymous trolls, increased security needs. Alex hired bodyguards for Sophia and Maria, ensuring their safety as the family navigated the new normal. Fall arrived with crisp air and changing leaves, symbolizing renewal for the Harrington family as they settled into their transformed lives. The divorce finalized swiftly after months of negotiations, Victoria receiving $8 million, a pittance compared to her initial demands, and relocating to a modest apartment in Florida, her glamorous life a distant memory, overshadowed by therapy sessions and regret. Alex threw himself into fatherhood with the same intensity he applied to business, attending Sophia's school events like parent-teacher conferences where her teachers praised her intellect, helping with homework on fractions and science projects, and planning family trips to foster bonds. One memorable weekend, they ventured to Yosemite National Park, hiking trails lined with towering sequoias, their footsteps crunching on fallen leaves. Sophia marveled at the waterfalls cascading like silver ribbons, pointing out birds and rocks with childlike wonder. "Look at Half Dome, Dad! It's like a giant from a storybook." Alex beamed, capturing photos on his phone, later teaching her photography basics. Evenings around the campfire, Maria shared folktales from Mexico, roasting marshmallows as stars twinkled above. These moments healed wounds, building trust and love. Maria took on a new role as the Foundation's community liaison, her personal experiences guiding programs with authenticity. She organized workshops for immigrant families, sharing her story to inspire. "I crossed borders for my daughter. Now we help others do the same, legally and safely." Sophia Scholars awarded grants to 3,000 children, focusing on STEM for minorities, with Sophia herself becoming the program's ambassador at age 11, speaking at events about overcoming adversity. Anti-abuse initiatives partnered with national organizations like the National Children's Alliance, training first responders on recognizing signs and providing resources. Alex traveled for speaking engagements, sharing his story at conferences like TEDx. Wealth without purpose is empty. One moment of horror led to a lifetime of change, teaching me that true power lies in lifting others. Challenges arose amid the successes. Media scrutiny intensified, with paparazzi camping outside the estate, forcing Alex to install higher fences and privacy screens. Threats from Victoria's lingering supporters arrived via email, prompting FBI involvement. Sophia faced bullying at school from kids echoing tabloid rumors, but therapy with Dr. Nguyen helped her cope, using drawing to express feelings. "I feel safe now," she told the doctor after months, her artwork shifting from dark storms to bright suns. Alex also grappled with guilt, questioning how he missed the abuse, but Maria reassured him, "You saw when it mattered most." Daily life evolved into a rhythm of joy. Breakfasts together with Elena's fresh pancakes, weekends at the beach where Sophia learned to surf, and holidays blending traditions. Thanksgiving with turkey and tamales, Christmas with piñatas and lights. Alex dated sparingly, focusing on family, while Maria explored hobbies like painting, her canvases filling the guest house with color. One Thanksgiving evening, the trio gathered in the mansion's dining room, the table laden with food, candles flickering. "To new beginnings," Alex toasted, raising a glass of sparkling cider. Sophia clinked glasses enthusiastically. "And to the best dad and mom ever," Maria smiled. "And to hope." The foundation's impact grew, with reports of saved lives, a child rescued from abuse via hotline, an immigrant family reunited through legal aid, affirming their path. Years later, in 2035, Sophia graduated from MIT with honors, her thesis on AI ethics earning accolades and publication in top journals. At 20, she launched her startup, Stellar Tech, focused on equitable tech access for underserved communities, attracting investors, including Alex, who mentored her through board meetings. "You've surpassed me, kiddo," he said at her launch party, pride swelling his chest. The Harrington Foundation had grown into a global force, with chapters in 50 countries, impacting millions through education reforms that integrated anti-bias curricula in schools, abuse prevention laws passed in several states, and immigrant rights advocacy that influenced policy at the UN. Annual galas raised billions, with celebrities like Oprah and Musk as regulars, sharing stages with survivors whose stories moved audiences to tears and action. Maria, now a U.S. citizen and foundation CEO, traveled worldwide, her speeches inspiring crowds. From Maid to leader, proof that kindness changes destinies. She married a kind educator, expanding their family with a son named Javier. Alex, at 55, retired from daily operations at Harrington Innovations, handing the reins to a diverse board. Grayer but fulfilled, he spent days volunteering, writing a memoir titled From Scandal to Sanctuary, and enjoying quiet moments with his loved ones. Walking the estate with Sophia, now a young woman in a power suit, he reflected on that fateful day. "It started with shock," he said, "the sun setting in a blaze, but ended with hope that rippled outward." Sophia smiled, linking arms. "You changed everything, Dad, not just for us, but for the world." And in that, the millionaire found his true fortune, a legacy etched not in gold, but in lives transformed.